So, what we are going to do today is we're trying to debate between I, Nilesh, and the internal team, the core team members, and we were trying to think through that what is that which we can probably share with the entire team, which will help everyone to probably gain some knowledge, but also understand how our technology ecosystem and the entire environments are evolving. So I think to do here is by keeping three things in mind. One is what would be the takeaway for every one of us from this presentation. Second is learning from our own experiences and what we can share to everyone in the team. And third is how we can help everyone to evolve and start looking at a bigger picture of what it is out there when we talk about technology and softwares and solutions. Okay, so I'm going to jump into this presentation quickly. But before that, I just want to highlight one thing is this session is going to be interactive, and hence I would be also there would be slides where there will be interesting questions asked to you. Uh, and when we are going to have questions as well, you may also have some answers on it, or you may also have a cross questions on it. When we say technology, we are trying to cut through three. We look at technology, we look at process, and also we are looking at design. Okay, so I'm not going to. I'm directly going to jump into the next screen. So, when we talk about evolution, I think it is happening all around us, and we all are part of it in some or the other form. And especially when we are looking at technology as a industry or software industry, there has been a continuous evolution in the technology which has happened. Uh, Especially what we are going to focus today is we are looking at something like 30 years from the past 30 years as what all things have happened in technology, and we are also going to try to paint a picture of next 10 to 15 years of what is going to happen or what is that we are going to see. Okay, so when we talk about evolution in technology, how it is happening, if you try to break it down at a very broad segment, it is happening at three different layers. One is the infrastructure as a layer, another is data as a layer, and the third aspect is the application as a layer. And the thing is, whatever skills were required 30 years back, or let's say 10 years back, and what will be the skills required from now onwards in the future, they are also drastically changing if you start connecting all these dots together. Okay, so what I mean by that is if you go back 20 years, 25 years, 30 years back, uh, the kind of development which was happening usually was on the machine system level, high level procedural languages, C, C++ of the world or likes of that. And the kind of solutions which were getting built at that time where whether the people were building databases itself, operating systems, networking systems or solutions. But from there, actually, if you look at today, what has drastically changed is the entire focus has, or a lot of focus has actually moved from those layers to application solution kind of a layer, where now suddenly we all are building solutions which are more business oriented, more consumer customer focused. So examples would be like e-commerce kind of applications or hyper local delivery kind of solutions or productivity platforms. So this is a shift which we are seeing when we talk about what kind of solutions we are building today and what were the majority of the solutions which we are getting 35 years back. Now, one thing which you will start observing here, and which is a constant trend here, is hey, sorry, someone has asked a question. So, a constant trend here is that when we talk about evolution of the technology, okay, when we talk about the evolution of the technology, it is via one common trend, and which is abstraction. So when we say abstraction, you will start seeing this now, where we are continuously moving into a level where every layer, when we talk about infra, data, or app, is getting abstracted. So, for example, in 1990s, on the infra side, we had a bare metal, or on the data side, we had file systems and DBMS, database management systems. Or on the app side, we had assembly language programming, C, C++, HTMLs of the world. And go to the decade of 2000, and you have the entire again an abstraction, a layer which was added on top of it. So infra, data center, or virtual machines. From the data side, it was more on the unstructured databases and big data ecosystems evolving. And on the app side, again, you have the virtual programming languages and environments, Java and .NETs and JavaScriptings of the world. So you can see every decade what has happened is abstraction, and that has added to layer by layer by layer, and it is still ongoing as we speak. So when we look at the next decade from now, okay, what we are looking at right now is, I think you will see in the infra, the entire revolution is now happening on the public cloud container Kubernetes to serverless. That's the kind of movement we are seeing. Or from the data, we're actually moving from data sciences, database services to AML and Firebase one-click deploy kind of databases, or in the cloud as a service on demand. So we are seeing a lot of modification, a lot of evolutions happening from abstraction layer by layer. And in the development segment or the application layer, we are seeing a lot of evolution happening on the low code, no code, WEM, Anima, those kind of tools and platforms becoming the forefront of solution deliveries for the customers. So if you start observing what is a trend we are seeing in this, is there is a new technology, a layer introduced to abstract something. So you can see the technology complexity is becoming the technology is becoming more complex decade by decade. But to simplify it, what is happening is people or companies are also trying to abstract it and trying to make it more simple. So when we look, okay, let me just pause onto this. If you have any questions, queries, I would like to put it in the chat box, and maybe Saurabh can moderate it later. So when we look at this as a slide, what I want to do now is I just want to take a pause and double click more further into the tech evolution. What exactly has changed in the technology as a vertical? And from here, this is going to be an interesting interactive session. So I want you to do two, three things. One is I'm going to give a question now, and I am going to ask you to predict. I'm going to highlight one programming language from the technology point of view, and I'm going to ask you to predict what would be the next, or what would have been the next programming language which came into being. So I think the assembly language or the machine language, everything answers. What would have been the next, what was the next programming language which revolutionized the solution technology space?
C language.
C, perfect. The next important evolution after C. It's very close to C.
C++.
Yes, object oriented. Perfect. Next evolution. Anybody? Anybody can take it, right? A very famous language, very famous. Maybe all of the engineering guys or masters, BScs and MScs, we have already worked at least one assignment during our course.
The team is replying over a chat. So
Java. In English?
The team is replying on a chat.
Oh.
You might not be able to see the chat.
Right.
Most of the people are replying over a chat. So most of them are saying Java.
Perfect. Next prediction.
Python. Moyur is saying Python.
PHP.
Yeah, so same.
You were close, yeah?
PHP and Python both are interpreter languages.
Yes. The next was JavaScripting. By the way, when did JavaScript came into market? Has anybody? Does anybody has an idea? Apart from core team, okay. Anybody knows this? When did JavaScript came into picture? It was roughly. Sorry.
Around 2000.
You are close. It was 1995. Close to that. 1995. Yeah.
1996.
Yes, very close. 1995, 96. That's the exactly. Then, what we are drastically seeing now is something called as low code, and this is here to stay. And this is also going to revolutionize a lot of areas and a lot of technology solution ecosystems as we speak. In fact, this layer, our abstraction came, and suddenly we started also seeing something called as no code. So low code and no code is something which is actually becoming very powerful as we speak day in and day out. So low code is a subtle difference between custom software. So till JavaScripting, we were writing custom solutions, custom software, like everything from scratch. Okay, writing codes from scratch. In low code, the subtle difference here is low code are some certain platforms. The examples of such platforms are Gyms is one of the example of a platform, like a low code platform, or Mendix is another example of a low code platform, and there are others. One difference between custom development and low code is in low code, you already have certain sets of templates available, drag and drop templates where you can drag drop certain elements. Then you can also stitch workflows, and you can also write on top of it. Okay, and you can create a solution. For example, you want to write a net banking solution for a bank. You can do that using low code, and low code can also help you extract a source code. That's the kind of a platform where when we talk about low code. Whereas no code, what does no code mean is no code means that you don't have to worry about any. No code assumes that you understand logic, you have a logic, you understand the business use case, and you can stitch the workflows perfectly, and you directly get an application. There is no source code. There is no code in no code, which implies that you don't ideally require DevOps or automatic deployment structured processes like DevSecOps. Your no code can be deployed again using the same platform on one click. Okay. On this note, what I want to now highlight is while these abstractions in the technologies were happening, there was also an abstraction happening in the reusability as a segment. So let me just set the base for reusability. Originally, at the assembly line level, there was nothing. Then we suddenly started seeing. Okay, now guys, can you predict how the reusability evolved or started becoming more abstracted from this line? Anybody want to take a try on this? Reusability.
So after library, what is the next thing?
Anybody? Packages. Okay.
Package.
Modules?
Closed. Modules. Yeah. Closed. Frameworks. Right? I think we all are tuned with frameworks. When we talk about today, when we talk about Node.js, Angulars, we actually also talk about, or we also invest time and build certain next level solutions using frameworks within those segments and areas. So frameworks started becoming mainstream. Next, can anybody predict? So frameworks would consist of your combination of modules and packages together. Anything else? Next, what would be the next evolution? Services, okay. Reusable assets directly. Actually, there is a layer in between this. There is also one more reusability abstraction, which also became very famous in 2013-14. Do you have an idea? In 2014, there was a famous statement given by Satya Nadella from Microsoft. He actually publicized something. Do you know that? There was one more layer in between frameworks and reusable assets. It's very famous. We build solutions day in and day out using that abstraction. Sometimes as a programming language. Anybody want to take a dig at this? Okay. APIs also is abstraction. APIs at times is also as a programming language, and APIs is also one of the reusability abstraction segment. Okay. Now we talked about technology, right? We talked about reusability, but then who has skills? Because I think skills is something which would every one of us in the organization today. So how have skills evolved and abstracted? Okay, and here you can see how the skills got abstracted because there was an evolution in the technology space, there was an evolution in the reusability space. How, what were the original skills required? So original skills required were core technology knowledge as well as hardware awareness. So when you code on machine using machine language or assembler language, I'm not sure if you have experimented or you got a chance to work on, let's say, 386, 8085, 8086. But when you are writing code on those hardwares directly, you had to worry about every bit of memory. You had to worry about CPU cycles. You have to worry even while writing solutions on using C, C++. You have to worry about these hardware level intricacies. What will be the performance of your solution? What will be the bottlenecks of it? Will there be race conditions and so on? But suddenly, if you start looking at the transition of these skills required within last 30 years, now what is happening is with from JavaScript and the top, JavaScript and low code and no code, suddenly the skills have evolved into something which is much more in demand today. So, one of these segment technology areas within JavaScript, low code, no code, and the usability segments. Plus, if you have a very strong business understanding, you understand customer and the user experience, and you can design things. That's the skill which is going to last for long term. In fact, that is a skill. These are the combination of the skills which are going to be maybe which will last for even next 20, 30 years from now. So if you see what has happened is the hardware knowledge completely been abstracted now. So you don't worry when you write code today, you actually don't have to look at what all intricacies or what all things will happen at the hardware level at every bit level. All these things are already abstracted again by all these layers and all the usability layers as we speak. Okay, but then we talked about technology. We talked about we went to the double click layer of the evolution of. We saw the evolution and abstraction of usability and how the skills are changing or how the skills have changed in the past 30 years. But then when we are looking at persona, okay, what all now has changed? So we talk about persona. What is persona we are talking? We are looking at when we say persona. What are the main personas which we all deal with? Okay. Now, when we say we all, either the design teams, either the development teams, either the QA teams, right? Or either the DevOps teams, all the teams, or low code, no code, any team within the organization today. Actually, when we are building solutions, we deal with these three personas, or at times we are also one or two personas here. For example, when we are building solutions, we are the developer persona. But system is also one of the persona because we are building certain solutions on top of system. How system becomes a persona, I will come to that in a bit. While let's say we all are using applications like Swiggy, and then you suddenly become the customer persona. Okay. So what I want to highlight here is uh, with this with the entire evolution of technology and the abstraction which I just explained in the last slides, what has happened is today's customers are demanding better and faster solution. What it means is the complexity of the solutions for the end customer doesn't matter. If you have a solution which has very complex form to fill, very complex user interface, or very complex things where you ask a customer to add in multiple data points, the customer will go away. So what I'm speaking about is in this abstraction, the simplicity is coming forward and it is actually coming to the customer. Whereas the complexity is getting abstracted and is going into the system layer. The developers are actually building better and better solutions using abstraction layers. I will try to give an example. So if you are ordering food from Swiggy or booking a cab on Uber, or you are doing a fund transfer using your, let's say, HDFC or Kotak mobile apps. So what happens, like once you click a button within your mobile app or a web dashboard, there are hundreds and thousands of modules and solutions which are triggered at the backend. Now, as a user, as a customer, we don't worry about it. All those clutters, all those complexities is abstracted for the customer. When I click on a button in, let's say, HDFC fund transfer, I initiate a fund transfer from HDFC mobile bank. This control it actually passes through multiple cutting edge technology modules to certain platforms, to certain applications internally, to certain legacy systems which are interdependent, which are orchestrated, which speak with each other. And what I get as a user is a final delivery of an outcome, which is like a fund transfer was successful to XYZ person or it failed. So I, as a user, again, I'm completely abstracted. The end users' actions which they perform, which I perform right now, I don't have to worry about any of the complexity. And hence, we talk about the abstractions. So how it is happening, which I explained some time back, simplicity is coming and getting abstracted to the customer. Okay, this is happening via interfaces, user experiences, and customer experiences. The developers are delivering better and faster solutions by using the abstraction layers of technology and reusability, which we saw in the last slide, via, again, technologies, tools, and modules and frameworks, APIs, and so on. The system, when I say system, it can be hardware, it can be basic OS stack, it can be technology stack. These systems complexities are getting segregated and going out of the scope of developer, and that complexity is getting picked up by the system itself. So what it means, how it is done is via cloud as adoption. We know cloud computing, infrastructure as a code, IAC. It's another area where the entire server and network and admin management is actually automated. So now that entire manual efforts are taken away and automated, the complexity is gone into the system, or DevOps and automation and serverless. So this is how the entire complexity is getting pushed with the abstractions at the back end or in the system. Simplicity is coming to the customer, whereas developers are building these solutions for this customer persona via the abstraction in technology and reusability. So here, I would like to take a pause now because we spoke about a lot of things, how technology has evolved, what we are seeing here, what are the abstractions, how reusability has abstracted and evolved, and what does it mean for different kind of personas. So now the basic question for all of us, like I'm trying to think like you, I'm one of you. So what will be my future? What will be your future? What will be everyone's future? Or when we look at software development, when we look at user experience, UI UX, design, right? What would be the future? Okay, so the future is about complex distributed heterogeneous systems. And when I talk about this, it's like there are going to be systems. You will have systems which are a combination of monoliths, new age, cutting edge technologies, certain modules which are built using, uh, let's say, low code, no code kind of a platform, mobile solutions, certain cutting edge technologies, architectures like microservices, monoliths, microservices and micro frontend sitting along with monoliths and SDKs. So what is going to happen is you will always find solutions and systems which would be heterogeneous in the nature, which will not be just one architecture serves all. Example of it is if you look at HDFC Bank or any kind of a bank, let's say Citibank as a bank. Okay, Citibank still has legacy code and legacy technologies as which dates as back as COBOL and Fortrans, but they also have architectures, layers, modules built in microservices using open source tech like Node.js and Angulars. So it's fitting both the end of the pyramids, and you still cannot replace certain legacy systems. So that is what I say, that the future of the system solutions would always be heterogeneous. You cannot replace some components at all. You may want to find solution in it, you may want to create abstraction layers again using APIs and then microservices, maybe backend for front end kind of a ecosystem, but you will still find uh, legacy and cutting edge living together. Okay, so what it implies when we are talking about the future is hardware will disappear, and this is a very important area we need to understand. What we mean by hardware will disappear is your hardware. When you are building a solution, you can build, let's say, a solution using container as an approach. Okay, and it can get deployed on any kind of a particular hardware. And when I say any kind of an hardware, just don't limit yourself on servers and cloud. In the future, your hardware can be a sensor which is sitting on a ground signal, okay, or a sensor which may be sitting in your car or any kind of a edge device. And small micro app can also run on your sensor which is in your connected or autonomous car, and that is also a type of a hardware. So hardware will not matter in the future. When we are trying to build, give this as a paint this as a picture, the hardware abstractions will keep on evolving, and we don't have to worry about that. The next area which is going to be disrupted in the future is software. When you say software, and software will be proactive. So what we mean by that is there would be more and more machine learning and artificial intelligence applications or use cases applied to software development lifecycle. So to give you an example, what will happen is after you have, let's say you are building a particular product for 2 years in a trot, and when you are firing the DevOps pipelines, it is going through various stages of unit testing, integration testing, code coverage, and the detail, all the stages of it. What you're doing, end up doing is you're actually capturing data points at every stage. So once you have sufficient amount of data points, you will start understanding that while you are writing the code, there can be an agent, a machine learning or an artificial intelligence agent, which will come upfront and try to predict that, hey, this particular module, there is a critical bug in here before even probably going on the compile stage or in build stage. That is how one of the use case of AI will come out. Or one more use case is AI will start creating its own unit or test cases. That is a we will reach. Or maybe AI based models can be built to create certain kind of usability abstractions or modules in the future. So that is what we say when software will be proactive. So what I'm talking about is machine learning and artificial intelligence applications or use cases in software development, and that is directly going to impact us all. Okay. So when we're talking about heterogeneous systems, I actually covered this all. So I said there would be low code, no code abstractions. There can be heterogeneous systems, which will be a combination of low code, combination of certain platform solutions. We'll have distributed scalable solutions at the back end, AI models coming as you use as a service, data as a service, which can go to AI models and give you the right prediction or recommendation engines, infra as a service, and legacy system together. So this actually forms the entire fabric of heterogeneous systems. Okay, so finally, when we are looking at all of this, so what is in it for all of us when we look at the future of technology, software, solution development? Okay, so in the future, what is going to happen is we all will reach a level where we might have solutions like visualize a solution like e-commerce or Amazon, let's say Amazon e-commerce, but rather than buying products which are physical products, rather than buying laptops or books from Amazon, maybe we will have direct modules, APIs, microservices, and every single layer which I have showcased here. You may have mix and match of all this, cutting through various domains. So banking domain, retail domain, or even productivity utility domain. So you may have all this combination of it. What you have to do is maybe you select all these modules from the marketplace, you bundle them up together, and hence your 90, 80, 90% of your solution is directly ready for you. Maybe 10% customization would require, or we may reach a level where you don't even require any kind of customization. So that is where the software development will move within the next 10 to 15 years. So what we all have to take away from here is very important skills which we all need to focus on, because it is important for us to understand that I am doing or I am developing some kind of a software solution today, but 5 years or 10 years down the line, if I'm doing the same thing, the technology might have changed. There might be much more abstracted layers of technology and usability added. But then, how can I still be relevant in the market without the AI and ML actually affecting me? Okay, if that is the question we all have in the mind, what is going to happen, or what are the top most important skills which we have to imbibe, is one is going to be business understanding and mapping it to the technology. So if you have a business sense, a business analysis, a business understanding skill, which you can understand market, understand users, and map it to the right fit technology by using this kind of a marketplace combination, you will have a very strong future. That's one skill. So you will have to build a skill of understanding, business understanding. So to just give you an example of business understanding, when we look at BFSI, banking and financial and insurance as a segment, okay, one of the example is let's say again net banking application. So when we are looking at net banking as an application, can you think through all the user personas within that solution? So one user persona is us who are using the banking application to check the summary of our funds, to transfer the funds, maybe to apply for a loan or something like that. There would be other user personas, maybe your relationship manager who gets to know some insights in his MIS. Once I have transferred some money or I have received some money, he gets an insight that hey, he has received extra money. Maybe you want to pitch him an insurance, or maybe you want to pitch him an investment option, or there can be a system level user persona, and so on. So you need to have the ability to think through the entire complex heterogeneous solution, which goes beyond just a simple net banking application. Or another example, best example is we all use Swiggy. Okay. But when we are using Swiggy, we just look at it from one dimension, which is we as a customer persona. But while you are ordering a service, what all are happening at the back end, or what all user personas getting triggered, and hence what all solutions are getting triggered, and hence what all APIs and modules and frameworks and technologies would be getting triggered. If you can think through all these areas, that is what we mean by business understanding. And I am also trying to map it immediately with the tech solutions. Okay, so one important skill which is going to be very important for our lifetime of every one of us is business understanding. The second most critical skill, which will be taught or very important again till the maybe even till eternity, is user experience. The user experience is not going to go away. In fact, it is going to be much more complexer and much more in demand. Why? Because as we speak, there are multiple interfaces which are getting added in user experience area. When we say interfaces, we are talking about, we just don't today talk about web and mobile, but connected TVs and connected cars and wearable devices. So everything, or even a smart watch or a smart goggle glass, all these are interfaces. That's one dimension of user experience. But another dimension which is getting exposed and which is also growing very fast is multiple senses in user experience. And when I talk about multiple senses, all these other interfaces which you just spoke about, they actually are focused on touch. If you look at it that way. So whether it's a mobile app where we have an interface where I'm touching and clicking a button, or it's a click on a web, or it's a click in a car, on a dashboard in a car, all these are still touch. But then now you all might be aware of Alexas of the world, or you might be using it regularly, or OK Google kind of ecosystem. So voice enabled. So this is another sense. Or even this is going to the next level where you may have visual enabled interfaces, or visual sensory enabled interfaces. Maybe within an AR VR interfaces, it will detect where you are looking, what action you want to take. It will try to detect it based upon your focus area. Or it will go further where you may even have some kind of interface based upon senses where you can just think and a solution or an action will happen. So again, reiterating my point is second most important skill, which is going to be very important, very required for every one of us, is user experiences with multiple interfaces and multiple senses. And the third thing, which is going to keep us all in business or keep us all relevant, is learning new skills, which is going to be a continuous ongoing process. So now, since we are into technology and design together, we cannot afford to stay stagnant. We will have to keep on adopting and keep on learning, unlearning, relearning. And I connect this back to actually Prashant's session. We will have to continuously learn ourselves. There is no option on this as a point. So, to sum it up, three most important skills which we require, and I'm not talking anything on the technology front. All these three are on the business front. So one is business understanding, another is user experience, and the third one is learning, ability to learn and relearn and unlearn new things. These three skills are going to be the most important skills for all of us, for the future of all of us. So that's it from my side. If you have any queries, questions, we will open up the discussion session.